Welcome back to another pen talk. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for going on this pen journey with me. This is a pen that Bobby sent in one of my orders. It's been a while ago. I briefly showed it in the mail drop video. So I've done some more research, and Bobby has posted some stuff on Instagram and YouTube. I put the links up in the description. And he calls this a posting nib. I can't translate any of the Chinese on here the way it's done. But if we unscrew the cap, we'll see why this is referred to as a posting nib. That's a unique design, to put it mildly. So I think Bobby's learned to write with this a little bit better than I have, but later on we'll show you what I've been able to do with this nib. Don't hold your breath. Looks like there's slight misalignment there, but doesn't seem to affect the writing much. Brought some sunlight into the mix so we can actually look at that nib a little bit better. The more light, the more depth of field. I just did a slight adjustment to get those tines realigned. Didn't want anybody thinking that that may impact the writing experience. So, unfortunately, I don't see this pen on Bobby's site on eBay, but you never know. I'll let him know I posted this video, but he watches most of my videos, so if it's available, I'm certain you can ping him and see what he says. So let's dive in. So this is called a posting nib because it's turned down. I don't think this is anything like the posting nib that Pilot sells. This is a nib until itself. Bobby called it a posting nib, I guess, because it does turn down. Before I ink the pen up, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a better view of this filling mechanism. I flushed the pen. There's a little bit of droplets of water left in there, but I'm comfortable when I fill it with ink, I'm going to flush that in and out with ink so it'll be saturated with ink. I mean, this nib is just unique, to put it mildly. That feed is outrageous. Small metal section here, which is, I'm not a favorite of that, but you know, the threads are okay, so you'll be able to hold it anywhere. Your classic aerometric converter, which is common with a lot of what I would call the vintage Chinese community of pens. You know, there's no other way to fill this pen, and this just slips over the top and slides in place. I'll probably fill it with this off, just so I can see the ink come in there. So I just wanted to give you that before I fill it up with ink, just so you can see what it's like and how it's put together. It's pretty much an all-metal pen. For some reason, this ink called out to me to be put into the pen, so I put it in. You know, I squeezed this about 4 or 5 times to get that fill, and you could see the ink come up that tube and fill up the bladder. So that's a pretty good fill. That is a clear bladder, so you know, there's a few bubbles in there, but it's mostly all ink, so I'm happy with the amount of ink I was able to get into the pen, but obviously not using the normal converter because I wanted to see it fill up. So the real test is, how does this pen write? I don't find any identification on here that I can translate. No, nothing on the clip. The cap unscrews. It's a little over 1 1/4 turns. One thing you'll notice inside the cap, the plastic is a little bit degraded, probably as a vintage pen. So that's interesting. Metal cap with a plastic liner in it for the threads. And also, if you unscrew here, you look inside, there's also a plastic liner inside the cap there. So it's plastic on metal threads. I'm okay with that. It feels nice. It posts fine. You know, that plastic cap lets it post well. You know, post, not post. Trouble is, you got to orient it correctly. So this nib is the most unique nib I've ever written with. So if you want to call this a posting nib, which was a designation of a nib designed to work on poor paper. Apparently the Japanese had a postcard which had poor paper in it, but the posting was very small amount of money. So if you use this in a normal nib configuration, it's a very fine nib. And so in that case, it does work as advertised. But there's a whole bunch of other nibs that'll rate very fine. So the fact that this can do that is not that unique, and the fact that this nib is just bizarre kind of lends itself to this type of writing. And even though this may not have been what it was designed for, it certainly does work well. That's a lot of freaking ink that it puts down. So if you try to write with it as you might think it would write, it'll write. Very, very fine line. And it's a little soft. But I don't think that's the way it was designed to write. I think it was designed to write like this. And it's an interesting experience. Again, a calligraphy nib in China is meant to kind of emulate a brush. And this, I think, does an excellent job at emulating a brush. But if I wanted a nib that does this type of writing, and the cap fell off, but it was hitting the tripod. If I wanted a nib that write like this, I prefer the Fude nib or that Arabic nib that I have. You can hear that. It's not a pleasant writing experience when you try to write with the nib that way, but of course this way it's very, very smooth. But, you know, not something that lends itself to cursive writing. You know, maybe for drawing this would be good. And as Piers has asked you to do, you know, experiment. Let the pen flow with you. So this is not a nib I'm going to spend a lot of time with, but I thought I needed to show you how it wrote. So we've reached the end of this video. Thank you for watching. You have many great writing experiences. This may not be one of them, but hey, experiment, explore. That's what I do. And share it with you, my viewers. So we've reached the end. So until next video, enjoy your day, enjoy your pens, enjoy your life. Bye for now. Definitely a challenging nib.